everybody for tuning in to Coder Conversations. Catch up with us at coderconvos.com or contact us at coderconversations@gmail.com. I'm your host, Kevin, and returning is TJ McCarty. He's a man of faith, a Christian, and also a founder of FingoChat.ai. Welcome back, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you return. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, probably a year or two, maybe 2 years.
Yep. I'm sure there's a lot that's transpired since we last spoke. So I know you're back into the entrepreneurial pool. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah, so back when we talked last, I had the nativenotify.com business. I still actually have that, and that's still doing steadily well. It's like a push notification service for Expo developers, and that's still actually making like $25,000 to $30,000 a year. So I mean, I'm
Okay.
happy that it went from zero to that. So that's probably like it was a side project too. So I just noticed a problem and built a solution for it, and turns out people are willing to pay for it. So but yeah, since then I have really focused on some new AI products. Specifically, I started building FingoChat.ai, and I built this for myself. It was another one of those kind of like solving my own problem things. So I found out I could build things so much faster with AI. Like I'm estimating probably 10 times faster, but there were like some specific problems I came across all the time. And I found myself having to basically copy and paste big chunks of code and other instruction information into new chat conversations. I was using ChatGPT, and so I kind of got bored of that, and I just thought in my head, I wonder if there's a way I could automate this instead of like keeping all my information all over the place and then some like copying everything into the conversation. And then another thing is I noticed the responses get worse the longer you are having a conversation with ChatGPT, because I've looked up the longer a context window is, the worse the AI results are. It's like verifiably proven that after about like 60,000 tokens of context, the AI responses just starts going down and down. And so I'd have to start a new conversation all over again, clear out the conversation, re-put in my context data. So the idea for FingoChat was basically automate that process instead of getting rid of all the context data, starting a new conversation. With FingoChat.ai, you can there's something called a train of thought that you can click on, and it's a way to like save a train of thought. You can save what are called thoughts inside of the train of thought, and these thoughts are basically different context data. So you could save code. It's now a desktop app too that you can download, and you can plug it into your like coding project. So you can attach relevant code to the train of thought. You can attach just random text thoughts. You can attach spreadsheets. You can attach a task list, like a to-do list, just anything like that. And so the way it works is anything you put in the train of thought is always sent to the AI. So the AI will always know what's in your train of thought. And the other thing that helps it is instead of having to refresh a new conversation, the conversation only sends the past 10 messages to the AI as well. So it always sends the train of thought data and the past 10 conversation messages. And then that guarantees that there's also some limits in the train of thought. So it guarantees that your conversation never really gets above 60,000 tokens. It's just amazing. I've been blown away personally how great the responses are. It's like actually to the point where like it's almost scary. Like I'd say like 99.5% of the code now can just be written by the AI because the models are so good. If you context engineer using like FingoChat.ai type thing. So
like for those who are not particularly proficient with the AI terminology, is context like all of the details surrounding a specific item, whether it be bit of code or whatever that you're sending to the AI?
Yeah, so basically the way it works is you don't see this, but on the background using the APIs, the code, The AI chatbots like ChatGPT, things like that. There's a section called the system prompt. The system prompt, and basically any data you put into the system prompt, the AI will just always know. This is basically a way of telling the AI in the code, hey, always remember this information when responding to me. And so, yeah, with FingoChat, it's basically a fancy way to edit that system prompt. So you can tell the AI, I want you to know exactly this information. And if you're referencing your local code files, you can tell it specifically, I don't want you to look at the whole code base. Like if you're using something like a Cursor AI agent, like Cursor AI agents kind of just try to guess what are the relevant files. Well, with FingoChat, you instead of doing that, you specifically say you don't have to guess. These are the specific files related to what I'm working on right now. This is what I want you to know. And then the AI will try to mimic kind of like the style too of the files you give it, and it'll just know all the information it needs to know to respond accurately without bugs. Is kind of how it works.
Okay, awesome. So, like for the small business user, somebody who's wanting to use your product, like what advantage will it really bring to them? I know you mentioned some of it, but to really hone in on that.
Yeah, so the initial big advantage is just for developers. Like if you spend enough time, it's called context engineering. That's kind of the new term that's coming out. But this is a very visual, just click, type. It's like a GUI context editor. I'm calling it a context editor. Um, but yeah, so for developers, it can just speed up your production time so much. Like even if you have a full-time job, if you'll just wake up an hour early every morning and use FingoChat along with a code editor, um, you could, if you're spending like an hour a day, you could finish a full product in like 4 weeks, and you can be making it better and better from there, and just use it as a. So it's really great for developers who want to have maybe an idea in their heart. You really actually can finish projects on the side now, even if you just have an hour in the morning. It's just remarkable what you can do. Like in that hour, you could probably do what you used to be able to do in like 10 hours. The other thing that I use this product all the time myself. The other thing I find myself using it for all the time is just brainstorming ideas. It's so useful whenever I'll give it like an introduction thought. I'll say something like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to generate $10,000 a month in extra income. This is a brainstorming session. Respond with 150 words or less." That, and then go ahead and save that, and then maybe add some more thoughts on, here are some of the ideas I have. I want you to help me pick the best one. Think about marketing it. How could I market it successfully and things like that. There's another thing too. I forgot in the train of thought. There's a links thought where you can add like URLs to up to date documentation, things like that, or like maybe an article if you are brainstorming. And every time you ask the AI chat something, it'll do a fresh GET request to any URLs you add. So it'll always know the most up to date documentation. So that kind of fixes the whole. A lot of times AIs has out of date documentation. So yeah, to answer the question, I think for developers, obviously you can actually build so much now so fast. And for just really anybody could use this. Like lawyers could use it if you put legal documents in it and stuff like that. And that's the other thing too is FingoChat doesn't save any of your conversation data. That's the other really big thing. So it just saves all your thoughts locally on your computer, and so it doesn't even ever touch our database. So that's something for me too. I like if I ever have a product idea that I'm thinking ChatGPT might try to steal this idea or something, because I'm working in the same space. I'll always use FingoChat instead, and I know all my conversation data is private. I don't have to worry about these other companies stealing my ideas. So So anyway, but yeah, it's great for brainstorming. Really, any knowledge computer-based worker, it you have to kind of just try it out. It's so simple to open the train of thought, add some new thoughts to it that are relevant to just the project you're currently working on. Like I've used it to help me with marketing, video script creation ideas. I have it write video scripts for me sometimes for YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and which you can find it if you just search FingoChat and TJ. I pop up now. So, but yeah,
So, like, where can people find it out? Test it out. And I know it's named FingoChat. Is it FingoChat.ai? Is that the URL?
yes, yeah. If you go to FingoChat.ai, it's free to try and test out. And I'm always would love to add feature requests that anybody has. If you have any, you could always email TJ at FingoChat.com. You would need to email.com, or you can respond to one of the videos that I put out on the FingoChat channel.
Yeah. So, like, how has the program kind of evolved over time? Like, getting feedback from users. Like, what features have you added just based on the people using?
Yeah, so the very first version of it was really simple. I just added that the train of thought, and basically it was a quick way. I think it started out with basically just text thoughts that you could add. And it was just a way for me to dump all my random information I have everywhere that I keep copy pasting the into chatbots into the train of thought instead. And then it evolved from there to, well, it'd be cool to add code thoughts, maybe links, because that was another problem I had. All these AIs are trained on 1 to 2 year old data, which is really can be detrimental for coding projects specifically, because they could inject bugs into your code because it's referencing 1 to 2 year old documentation, and your code is all buggy and you don't know what happened, and really it's just didn't have the most up-to-date documentation. So I added that in, and basically the other thing was i I basically just use this all the time myself as a developer. I have different clients I work for and stuff. Well, another thing that I kind of hated was I found myself copying an entire file that's relevant to what I'm working on, or maybe that I am working on, into a code thought, and then I'd update the file, and then I'd have to go back, copy it again, and put it back into the file. That kind of drove me crazy. And so to solve that, you can't have like a web browser connect to your local files. And so I had to learn how to build a desktop app. So now you can download the FingoChat desktop app. If you log into FingoChat.ai, in the top right corner, there's a download the desktop app. Well, now you can download the desktop app, and the desktop app can access your local files. So instead of copy pasting my code into it all the time, I just select the files that I'm working on, and it automatically stays in sync as I'm coding. Um, and so I kind of just set it and forget it until I need to make a quick update or something like that. But yeah, and the responses are just, again, they're just so amazing with these newer models that are out there. So
Yeah, so like for somebody who's not really technically proficient, if they wanted to use it to make their own website or make their own app, like what would you estimate would be the time and effort required to at least get something working, like an MVP level prototype?
yeah, so that would be a this would be a great product for even people who aren't technical. You really could just start a new project, open the train of thought, just tell it what you want to build. Just say, I've never built anything before, so you're gonna have, and you can give it like a rule, something like, take things one step at a time. Don't do too much. Like I do that myself sometimes. I'll say, don't ever update more than one file at a time. So just explain to it your situation. I've never coded before. This is what I want to do. A lot of times, the first thing I'll have it do is what create a to do list for me. So that'll be the first thing. And knowing that I know nothing, create a to do list. Then I copy and paste that to do list into a to do list thought. There's a thought in for to do lists. And then I say, okay, now one by one, let's go through the to-do list. And again, I don't know how to code. Tell me exactly what to do. And then it'll go one step at a time. And then once you've finished it, it'll at the end, it'll say, are you ready to move on to the next step? And you can mark off that task as complete in the train of thought, move on to the next task. So yeah, I would, if you, I wouldn't be scared of trying to build something if you've never coded before or anything. Um, these, it really is that simple, and I think it could walk you through what to do. So
Awesome, man. Yeah, just to pivot a little bit. I know you have like a strong entrepreneurial background, so you mentioned Native Notify, and I'm sure you worked on several different ideas. So how are you able to pick this one and say this is the one I want to actually build a business around it? And like, what is that process actually looking like? Like, how are you able to monetize this?
yeah, so through the years, what I found is the best way to come out with business ideas is to be working on hard problems, and then be on the lookout for problems. So I guess maybe word it, work on hard projects and then be on the lookout for problems. So if you ever notice some kind of problem while you're working, that's that's always been the best kind of business idea for me. That's how I came up with Native Notify. I was working on an Expo app. I was surprised to find I couldn't find a push notification service just for Expo developers. All the other ones were really complicated. So I was like, well, it took me probably a month just to figure out how to simple push notifications. And I was just thinking, if I could simplify this process, I bet others would want this, maybe. And so I got it to where you could have push notifications set up in under like 5 minutes. And a lot of people were willing to pay for it. And it was a terrible first product. It was embarrassing to look at, but people paid for it, and it showed that it was a real problem. And this one just came through. I've been working on other things for close to a year, like other apps and things. And then I just noticed myself following this process, this workflow with AI to speed up production just so dramatically. I just couldn't believe how fast I was able to start building things. And then the thought just popped in my head: what if I created a product to automate this whole process? And so I just thought that it would be such a valuable product. I actually stopped what I was working on and just transitioned to completely focusing on that. Just because I was just thinking this would just be such a valuable product. And for me, it's still so valuable. And I'm just now really trying to focus on marketing it and hopefully getting some users. So
So like I know like this may really help speed up the production of app, but like realistically speaking, what are some things users need to look out for? Like if they're non-technical, would it make sense for them to hire somebody technical to look through the code and make sure that it's doing what it's intended, or find somebody to scan for security vulnerabilities? Like what is kind of like the impediments before this is actually something that they can launch on the marketplace and feel relatively confident that they won't get sued or something like that?
yeah, so one of the things I would definitely do is add in a thought in the thoughts, say add a thought that I've never done this before. This needs to be secure. I don't know how to do that. I need you to make sure that this is secure, and that I can launch it to the market. Um, but the AI can really walk you through how to do that. Really, the only major, it kind of depends on what kind of project you want to. So if you're looking to just build a website where you're selling a product or a course or something like that, that's pretty easy to make secure. There's not really any logging in required or anything. You can kind of just have a landing page, and then you can have maybe a Stripe button. There's a payment service called Stripe that you can click on to say order this course or order this product or whatever. And in stripe.com you can set up your checkout to get all the information you'd need. So like if you're selling a physical product, you could get their address, and then you just know, okay, I just got an order. I need to ship the order to this address. And so that's already really secure. because that literally you can create the link on Stripe and just copy the payment link into your. You could add it as a thought and say, "This is the payment link. Add this wherever it needs to go." It gets a bit more complicated with authentication. What I would say with authentication is use a service like Supabase, I think it's Supabase, and they have an authentication solution that AIs know really well. Um, and you could use something called a magic link. That's what with Supabase, and that's what I use a lot. It's the easiest to get set up with. It's really secure. Um, and the big thing to know is any what are called keys, like security keys or API keys, you need to put in what's called a .env uh, file. And so you could again tell the AI to do that. The things I would say to use, the technology I would say to use if you're just getting started, I would say use Next.js. That's like a JavaScript framework that can build anything. Like you can build the front end, the back end. With it, make sure to use Tailwind CSS, which is the styling. Again, AIs know this really well. And then Supabase for authentication. If you need a database, Supabase has a database too. Um, and then Stripe. Those four things. With those four things, you can build anything. And AI knows those really well and can build it for you, basically. So
So like, are you able to actually like pick and choose the tech stack? Like, let's just say, okay, for whatever reason, I want to use Angular and I want to use on the back end MongoDB, Express, or Spring Boot for the back end. Are you able to kind of pick and choose which tech stack you want, and the AI is able to do it, or is it more so like you should stick with those that you recommended because that's what is best with from your
you could
experience?
use any of those. That's just the tech stack I personally use that I find for me has been the easiest. But everything you just mentioned is really simple too, and AIs know those really well too. And like I said too, you can just copy the most up to date documentation and add it to a links thought, so it knows how to use everything. Um, but yeah, especially if a technology is like 5 years old or older, AIs really know it very well. Um, so yeah, you could use anything.
And like in terms of creating accounts to get the API keys, etc., does the AI automatically do it for you? Like it goes and creates an account on these services and hands you back all information, or how does that work? Like
It would
also
walk
does
you through how to do it, so you'd have to create the accounts yourself. But then it would walk you through step by step exactly what to do, which buttons to click on, where to go. Um, so yeah.
Okay, interesting. And like in terms of like the repository where the code is hosted, you would create the GitHub account, give the information to the AI, and then it would create all the code and push it there.
It could, yes, yeah, and it could walk you through how to do that. So yeah, that is the other thing. GitHub is where you would store your code. Probably is another good place. The If you do use Next.js, one of the good things about them is you can use it's the creators of them is called Vercel. Vercel.
Yeah.
Um, Vercel makes it super easy to publish your code to an actual website to become an actual website with Next.js. So that's if you have a GitHub account that you're pushing your code to GitHub, Vercel can connect to your GitHub account and automatically just do everything for you from there. Like as long as you can get your code to GitHub successfully, if you're using Vercel, it'll just automatically take that code and turn it into a website for you. Um, so that's enough. But they also work with Angular and stuff too. With pretty much anybody. I've just found Next.js is like that's what they built. They made it really easy to get that set up.
Yeah, awesome, man. So, yeah, just kind of shifting a little bit. Let's just say someone has generated their application, and they've gotten a couple of users to use it. Like, what is the realities of like entrepreneurship? Like, what should they do after they've created this application? How do they go about marketing and some of these other things in your opinion?
Yeah, so one of the things I would suggest is I heard an entrepreneur recently say when answering the question, how do you know if an idea is a good idea? The thing he said is an idea is a good idea if you know how to market it. If you don't know how to market it, it's not a good idea. So, um, one of the lessons learned from there is maybe even before you build something, make sure, think through, do I have the connections to sell this? Could I even get one sale? Like, could I get one person to pay for this? Or is there, could I figure out how to sell that? Um, and one of the things for me too is like, it's hard when you're building stuff and it's exciting seeing things come to life and stuff, to transition to marketing mode. Like at some point you do have to start spending the majority of your time figuring out how to sell your product, or and if you have users, getting users. You can't just be building forever, because you could build an amazing product and nobody's gonna use it if you don't tell them about it, and it's just worthless. So yeah, that's there was something else I was about to say, but I forgot about it. But yeah, that's kind of my advice there.
So like in terms of marketing, maybe software is different from some of these other aspects, but like do you find like placing ads on say Google, Meta, all of these different services, Instagram, are
Yeah.
they worth it in your opinion?
So that is something I was going to say is one strategy potentially is, there's kind of two strategies. So you could either charge for the product up front to really see, is this a real need? Will somebody pay for it even if it's terrible? Another strategy is make it free up front when it's in like a beta, just to go ahead and get some users, because having users is just so valuable. If you'll talk to your users, they'll tell you what they want and how to improve it and stuff like that, instead of you trying to guess what they might want. But yeah, the a good Google ads, Facebook ads, Reddit ads is a new thing. That's another good one. um, those are the three I've used. I know LinkedIn has ads, X has ads, but yeah, those are good ways to get initial users. I would definitely see that as a way to get initial users, though, because they're probably not going to be profitable. Although I have heard some stories where they have been profitable. For me personally, though, it's always been like a way to jumpstart getting some users, talking to users. I've personally found the best thing to do is focus on building a platform somewhere, whether that's like LinkedIn or YouTube. For me, I've focused completely on YouTube as the platform I just focus on obsessively. And one of the neat things about YouTube too is you can pay to promote your videos, and those views actually count as real views, even ad views. And a lot of times, people who watch the ad will go on to subscribe to your channel, even if they don't purchase your product. And so early on, with Native Notify, really, I is when I started my YouTube channel. I was doing Google ads, but I just realized, man, this is just so expensive. Like, I did get a sale from Google ads, though. I got users and I actually got a sale, which got me thinking. That was back when it was a terrible product. But it cost me about, like, if I remember correctly, close to $700 to get one sale. The
Wow.
sale was worth about $29.99 a month. That's what I was charging for the initial product. Um, but it took $700 to get that one sale. It just was so expensive, and it's kind of like a one and done with Google Ads. Like, if you don't get a sale, it was completely wasted money. And so
Yeah.
that's what got me to switch to YouTube. I'm thinking, even if I'm spending money on ads and I don't get a sale, my subscriber count might go up. And as long as I'm publishing content regularly that people want to watch, I'll always have a platform I can market any product I come out with. And that's basically what I've been doing for the past 4 years. Um, and it works. It actually works to get the initial users. Like I have had different various products I've come out with, and I've actually gotten sales just through the YouTube channel. Right now, I don't pay for ads at all. It's like everything's organic at this point. I just make YouTube videos. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. Focus on especially one platform and maybe pick a social network that you like a lot and get connections with your market. If so, like if you're building a product for developers, make sure you become friends with a lot of developers, or whatever yours is, and then the big thing is just consistency. Just
Yeah.
be publishing every week, like at least once a week, not even like every couple months or something. Like it has to be consistent. Make sure that's honestly probably your most important thing is make sure you have a platform, especially in today's world where AI, you can just build anything so fast. It's like
Yeah.
the only valuable thing at this point is your platform, probably. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I think in this like AI driven age, it's going to be about people trusting whoever's delivering the software, because, two guys can pretty much build the same thing in, let's just say, an hour. Why would they choose one guy over the other? Like one has to be known, like he has good marketing, but also has a reputation that this software is good. It does what it says. It's safe to use. So yeah, I think building community is really important. So you mentioned like YouTube ads. Like initially you paid, but you've garnered enough growth to where you no longer need to pay, and you can let things kind of grow organically. But for somebody just starting out, what should they expect to budget, and what can they like realistically expect in terms of like users, subscribers, etc.?
Right. So one of the great things about YouTube ads too is they're so much cheaper than I think anybody else. You can get a significant amount of views for just 1 to 2 cents per view. You can pay per view. And so like if you spend $100 a month, you could get up to 10,000 views a month potentially just from that. And so it, you do have to make sure, which you might could use FingoChat to help you with signing up for Google Ads, but like Google now, they make it really hard to figure out which ones to select to say cost per view. You can do it to where I'm not willing to pay more than this much per view. They want you, Google Ads wants you to not sign up for that campaign type. They want you to sign up for the campaign type where it says, what's your goal per conversion? Like, would you like a conversion every $2 or something? And we'll just figure it out. And then they might spend 10 cents a view or something. You want to make sure to sign up for an ad campaign, and they change it up all the time. Like every single time I set up a campaign, I have to like use FingoChat to be like, okay, which ones do I select to make sure it's a cost per view thing? But you can get it to where it's a cost per view. And so, yeah, that if you use something like FingoChat, you can build a product. You really can in under a month, especially if you have more time. But even if you have like an hour in the mornings, 2 hours, you wake up early. Like for me with Native Notify, I had a full-time job. And for a short time, I was just waking up at 3:30 in the morning, every single morning, just being tired for a couple months before AI was even a thing, to build my really terrible first product that solved a real problem. Well, if you did that with AI now and just committed a month to waking up at 3:30, spend 3 hours coding, you could finish a lot. And then, yeah, with YouTube ads, if you just invest $100 a month, you could get anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 views a month. And you can make sure the audience is relevant to what you sell specifically, and just actually try hard to make good content. Like do a study of in your market, what are the popular channels in your market, and find other channels that get like millions of views a month or millions of views a week, and try to copy their style. Don't try to get too creative with it. Just see what works. Try to make it almost exactly the same in style with just your content. Spend some money on ads to at least until you've gotten up to over 1,000 subscribers or so, and eventually it's probably a good idea once you've gotten to a certain point to shut off the ads, because it forces you to try to come up with great content that people will actually want to watch. That's been a helpful thing for me. Is part of why I don't turn on ads anymore, is I'm wanting to make sure I'm creating content that people actually want to watch, because the conversion rates are just so much higher. Like I remember at one time, for a very short period of time, I was spending like up to $2,000 a month on ads. That got me up to like 4,000 subscribers within 6 months or so. Um, well, it got me a lot of subscribers, but I would guess I would have to get like about 200 views before I got one person to sign up for Native Notify. And then it would take another 70 signups to be a paying subscriber. Um, and so it was just the numbers weren't really making sense. So I kind of just ran out of money and I had to just shut them off. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to focus on making great videos, trying to make them as good as I can. And so I relied on that, and I did build up that initial base. So it was really helpful. But the conversion rates are just so much higher. It was like 1 out of every 20 views, something like that. So like 10 times less views if it's an organic, natural video that people actually click on. It's not an ad. Your results are probably gonna be at least 10 times what they would be if it's an ad.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because if people are actively choosing to engage with your content, to watch it versus it being pushed on them, they already have that interest there. So there's less time trying to convince them to consume the product because that interest is already there. Yeah, like in terms of marketing, it does seem like you have to be a bit of a renaissance man these days, like almost a bit of an entertainer. Like, how are you able to make captivating videos that people actually want to watch? Because I know in a way, like you're pushing your product, so it's essentially an ad. But what did you do to make people just like look at it not as an ad, but as maybe something that's educational, informative, and entertaining?
Yeah. So one of the ways I went about doing that was, in my head, I sort of thought, okay, I can't just always be making videos about Native Notify. It's going to drive people crazy. So I need to, like, for a lot of the videos, I need to just come out with good content that's valuable for people. And then every once in a while come out with a video where I mention my product. And so you could kind of think of it as a good way to go about it is maybe for 3 weeks out of the month, just try to make valuable content that people are searching for, maybe. Or maybe there's something in the news, like there was just a recent ChatGPT dev event that happened yesterday or something. Like if you can come out with a video the next day going in depth on exactly what they talked about, maybe show some demos. The YouTube algorithms are actually pretty good about showing your videos to people. Like you could get 1,000 to 5,000 views, probably not too difficultly. Not it wouldn't be too difficult if it was actually a good video that was entertaining. And again, just looking at all, make sure you're subscribed to the channels that are actually getting millions of views. And so like and try to copy their style. And again, just try to be useful. That was another thing I heard Elon Musk say recently that I've kind of taken to heart. He said, I can't overemphasize this enough. Just focus on being useful. Like, are you building something that's actually useful for somebody? Whenever you're making content, just, am I making something that's useful for people? And for me personally, I've my most successful videos have been tutorial videos where I really take a long time to learn a tech stack, maybe a product, and just make a video about it, going in depth on. Still, I say in depth, but like I try to keep it in 15 minutes or less. Under 10 minutes is good. Uh, but like actually be very specific about how to use this in a way that's easy to understand, especially if I ever come across a product that's really difficult to use. Those make really great videos. Like if you can't figure out how to use something in like under an hour, after you do figure out how to use it, those are usually great videos. You can make a 5-minute video, and I still to this day, if I come out with a video like that, you get so many comments of people like, I've been looking for days. I've been trying for days to figure this out. And you just showed me how to do this in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Those kind of videos do well as well. So
Yeah, what I've also heard is really important nowadays is creating a community, like maybe having a Discord channel where, you bring people there and then you can allow them to kind of self-operate. You're not necessarily pushing them into this or that. So, like, how important do you find like creating a community where people can huddle around whatever it is that you want them to huddle?
yeah, I think those are super valuable. And the big thing though is just making sure you don't get overwhelmed, and especially if you have a job. I usually like to just say pick one thing and try to get amazing at that one thing. So like for me, it's YouTube. I just completely focus on YouTube. It probably would be a good idea for me to also have a community where I can be asking questions and things about what they actually want and stuff. But I really try to encourage people to comment on the videos, and that's kind of my way to build a community. Is I notice people, the same people comment on videos, and I can comment back and reply. That's another thing. Just try to make sure to reply to all the comments that come in. That's helpful. That to build a community. But yeah, you definitely need to be building a community somewhere, even if I think no matter what, even if you just want to have a job the rest of your life, like tech is just changing so fast. Like you could lose a job and need a job, and it'd be good to have a network somewhere, like on LinkedIn or something, to help you get a job.
So, like, what criteria did you use to like pick YouTube over something like LinkedIn? Because I know LinkedIn also has an incredible developer network. Is it just the desire to focus on one specific thing and not get watered down?
I
Why
think
YouTube
part
over
of it
LinkedIn?
I think part of it was I just had some I when I was a kid tried out making YouTube channels and things like that. And so I don't even know if I don't think I was very active on LinkedIn at all before I started doing the YouTube videos. I didn't really know it could be kind of like a social network type thing. I saw it as a resume site. Now today I see it as a social network. It's a great place to build a community. But I think it was more just a timing thing. I was trying out Google ads, and then I'm like, okay, this is just too expensive. How about we try out YouTube ads? I found out, wow, these are way less expensive. And then I just thought, in addition to the YouTube ads, I could just build a community here and always have a place I can market my products. And so maybe I should just completely focus on YouTube. And so that it kind of what drove me was how cheap the ads are on YouTube and how effective they are. They're also effective. They actually work if you do them well. So that's what drove me to do that. It may have just been a timing thing. I know people are successful on other places too, like LinkedIn and X and things like that.
So, are you currently doing this full time now, like running your business?
So I do about 15 hours a week of contract work for other clients, and sometimes I'll get more work in where I might spend 25 hours a week doing contract work, and then the rest of the time I spend on FingoChat is kind of what my time break up is. And it's so hard. One of the things with AI, it's so, you can build things so fast. You really can. It's so hard to not get distracted and like, I could build this other thing in like a week. I'm gonna and sometimes I've been distracted and done stuff like that and regretted it and thought, FingoChat was actually getting some users. You should just stick with that and go back to that. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I built an extension recently, which I actually use to, if you have a code editor, you can search for it. It's called Fingo Context. It's kind of interconnected with FingoChat. It's basically the same train of thought thing. But I'm finding less people are using that. It's like the FingoChat seems to be the thing that people really love. And I still use FingoChat too. Um, so anyway, that's kind of a random thing. But that is a thing, like if you're building products, if you learn how fast you can build stuff, there's a balance there. You do have to give an idea long enough to succeed. So you can't just be building stuff forever and then never market. You kind of have to, once you have a product you believe in, spend a significant amount of time trying to market it, like maybe 6 months, like, and iterating over the product, make it better as you're doing that while you're talking to users. Give it at least 6 months to see if it'll go anywhere before trying another idea. Um, so anyway,
So like, how important is it to like put money where your mouth is? Like, okay, I've developed this product. A lot of people they're gonna seek the free ways to market. But how much more effective is it just to allocate a budget to marketing and invest in advertisements versus trying to just do everything for free?
I think especially starting out, it's a good idea to spend some money on marketing if you have the money to do it. Um, and again, most of my experience has been with Google ads and Facebook ads. I've also done, or no, Google ads and YouTube ads. I've also done Facebook ads and Amazon ads. Um, I've those have all been successful for me in the past. Um, I have found is if your goal is to also build a community, things like Facebook ads actually could be a great idea too. If whatever platform you love that you use all the time, I would say the most valuable kind of marketing would just be whatever social network you're on that you love using, set up a page for that on that platform. So if you love Facebook, set up a Facebook page. And if with whatever budget you have, spend it on boosting the posts on the pages, just to so you grow your community, and also be posting regularly uh, that things that aren't ads, and focus primarily on building a platform wherever you love to build, wherever, whatever social network you love. I find those to be the best kind of ads currently, because Google ads are just so expensive and they're worthless if they don't convert to a paying customer. Whereas social media, all your ad spend is worth it because you might be gaining more followers on your platform.
Yeah, that is a great point. Like versus like investing in a social media platform versus just like something like Google pushing your product, because if you build the following, then you always have that ready-made potential audience to consume your product. But
Right.
yeah, so in terms of like entrepreneurship and even working a job, I know that can be very busy. So how do you find balance? And like, I know you're a man of faith. So how have you been like really staying connected with your faith in spite of everything going on?
A big thing for me is just make sure to be going to church every week. And for me, I always want to try to give, I want to give God my first. And so I wake up extra early to make sure I have 30 minutes to read my Bible and pray. The first thing that I do every month. So every day. So that's what I want to do Monday through Friday. That's what I do. On Saturdays and Sundays, I don't. But on Monday through Friday, before doing any work, I just want to make sure I prayed, read my Bible before even getting ready for the day. And so that's a big way how I keep God first in my life, is I just try to actually literally put him first every morning.
Yes, I know like priorities are extremely important. They're going to kind of determine, your eventually destination because, what you put first, that's what's going to bear the most fruit. So, God is one aspect. How are you also making sure like your family is, they feel like they're getting enough of you? Because I know with, entrepreneurship and everything, you could be incredibly busy.
Yeah, so one of the things is I'm very blessed to be able to work from home. That was actually part of the reason why I wanted to learn to code was I was hoping I could work remotely. And so I'm constantly around my family. I get to spend lunches with them. And I always try my best to just make sure I get off by 5 every day. Um, and so that's what I do. I try to make sure I'm off by 5 so that I can spend time with my family and don't do work on the weekends unless it's absolutely necessary. Um, and one of the things that I struggle with is I have to. It's hard to just shut your brain off. Like you have to stop thinking about business at some point, and I feel like I'm not good at that, and I'm working on that. It's hard to do when you're an entrepreneur, and especially like if the business isn't completely paying your bills yet, like a lot of times you feel like you have to be thinking about it all the time to figure out this problem until it's solved, and then you can stop thinking about it all the time. But lately I've learned you can't do that. You have to just shut your brain off and spend time with your family, even though it's hard to do.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, it's just being intentional about the things you find important. It's not just going to magically fall in place. You have to choose to do stuff like you mentioned, like at 5, I choose to stop working. And so, yeah, in terms of, people just really getting their business started, what do you feel are like the important things for them to really choose to focus and spend their time on? Once they become successful, how does the shift look? Like, are they now able to spend more time with their family once the money starts coming in? How did that look for you?
Yeah, so I still have not yet gotten to the point where my businesses are generating enough to earn a living yet. But so I guess from the standpoint of having to work at least part time for others, um, I'm sorry. What was your question? One more time. Can you word it again?
Oh
My
yeah,
brain.
like what does the kind of like the transition look like from, I guess, uh, let's just say you're just starting your business, like, and then you kind of made it. Now you're able to like dial the business back and really focus on other things.
Oh,
Like, for
yeah. So what I was going to say with that is, the Bible says you can't serve both God and money, and you'll love one and hate the other. And so that's something to always keep in mind. And the Bible also says, what's it worth gaining the whole world and losing your soul? And so a big thing is just making sure you keep your identity in Christ as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus. That's who you are. And then you're a husband, and then a father, or whatever, and make sure that you're committed to not ever putting business ahead of your family or ahead of God, and be okay if that means it doesn't get like to be this enormous big thing. If it just makes enough to pay your bills, you've won. If you can just get to that point, uh, you've won. If you can just have your bills paid from a business, uh, that's great. You don't have to be. You can be content. Um, so yeah, and that's another thing. Like a lot of advice you hear is work-life balance isn't possible. If you're going to make a big business, you just got to go all in, be working 60 to 80 hours a week. Um, I don't think I don't think that's smart or wise to do. I don't think if that's what it takes, you should just not do it. And I don't think it is. But I don't know. This is just me. I personally I don't want to be spending all my time working all the time. I want to make sure I'm spending time with my family, and I've just gotten to where I don't want to lose my soul over stupid business. I want to make sure I have my priorities right. And my goal is just to be able to pay my bills, like daily bread. Um, and the Bible
Exactly.
also says if you're obsessed with getting rich, you're going to fall into traps, many traps. Whereas I think it's actually a good business principle to, when Jesus says, pray to give us this day our daily bread. If you're focused on your daily bread, you're not going to make as dumb of decisions. Because uh, you won't, I don't know, you won't be so risky. And uh, if your goal, it's a lot easier to figure out how to make $10,000 a month than it is to make $1 billion a year. And so I don't know. I just think it leads to better decisions. Whereas if you're trying to just get really rich, it'll lead to bad decisions. And one example I have of this is my dad. He used to sell the spiral gumball machine. I think I talked about this in the last one I was with. Well, he was young and he didn't have, at one point he had like $2 million in the bank. Like, and he's always said, man, if I could go back, I would have just bought 10 houses and he'd be making $20,000 a month right now. Like, um, from his 20s to today, he's almost 60. But back then, instead, he got addicted to trying to make the next business idea work out and the next business idea work out. And so, like, one of the things he was trying to get to work out, he was spending like $75,000 a month on a business idea, and it didn't work out. And so that was just like, just, and he just kept doing that over and over and over. And sometimes it was successful, sometimes it wasn't. It eventually just wasn't successful. And he just ended up in a lot of debt after all of that and kind of just lost everything. Whereas if he was thinking daily bread, hey, I made it. I got $2 million. Let's buy 10 houses. Let's make sure to never go into debt. If the business income starts going down, let's cut expenses. And if the business doesn't work out, fine, I'm set for life. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I don't know why I said all that, but I
No.
think it's just smart in general to not be obsessed with making money and focus on your relationship with God. Make sure you're focused on daily bread, and you'll make wiser decisions in the long run too. That knowing the goal isn't to, I don't know, gain the whole world. The goal is to keep your soul and not fall into darkness. Stay on the narrow path that leads to life.
No, I agree, man. But no, it was a pleasure having you back, man. We're at the top of the hour. So before we get out of here, where can everybody find you at?
So you can check out FingoChat.ai. That's the main product I have. You can also find me on YouTube at if you just look up FingoChat. I think you can go to youtube.com/at FingoChat, FINGO chat, or you can just search FingoChat TJ and I'll show up.
Awesome, man. It was a pleasure. And we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thank you.